Hi everyone, thanks for joining us at In the Know. We're catching up with some of your favorite celebs, reality TV stars, and more direct from their homes. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today we're joined by Gizelle Bryant, one of the OG Real Housewives of Potomac, and we talked about all things Season 5 of the Bravo hit. Gizelle and I chatted about the Monique and Candace feud, where it's headed, and the ramifications it has on the group, as well as the accusations that Monique recently made about Gizelle in a widely watched Instagram Live video. In addition to looking back at some of the most iconic Real Housewives of Potomac moments, we also discussed how the show represents Black women in America, the important conversations that Gizelle has had with her daughters, and how she blocks out criticism of her rekindled romance with her ex. Keep listening for my full interview with Gizelle. So Gizelle Bryant from Real Housewives of Potomac, we are in the midst of it with season 5 right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I never really know what the other ladies film and how their personal scenes are. So that's always like fun to watch. But I think the viewers are enjoying what they're seeing. I think they're enjoying the group scenes. I mean, we're into it like pretty heavily with friendships changing, and we're only on episode 3?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you guys didn't waste any time getting into it, kind of, I think on all levels, I would say.
Yes.
And I think what's so fun about what's happening in season 5 is that the viewing experience is sort of on like multiple levels. We have the episode happening, we have all of you guys going off on Twitter, we have Instagrams happening on the side. Like, what's it like as a cast member on the show with having all these different kind of levers going?
It's a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think each time has passed since season 4 aired, because I'm feeling like, whoa, this is a bit overwhelming, more so than other seasons.
Right.
But I'm here for it. I mean, like, everybody's involved. The fans are involved. The cast is involved. I think, we're all just ready to have this. I think it was the fact that we got pushed back. And now we're like, okay, we're here and we're all in.
I think that one, built anticipation among people who already watched the show, but then 2, it gave people an extra 4 months during a quarantine to catch up too, that hadn't really, who hadn't been hip to Potomac. So I think, like, I'm glad that you're feeling that, because I'm feeling that as a longtime viewer as well, that like there's more excitement around Potomac than ever before.
I think so. And I think it's warranted. I mean, we got some good juicy story happening right now. So
I know.
I feel like, it's about time.
Yeah. When
we're here.
When you're live tweeting, when you're viewing along with everyone else, are there any like particular sentiments or opinions that you're noticing pop up a lot among viewers when it comes to kind of some of the feuds already happening?
Not really, only because when I'm live tweeting, I'm really kind of just focusing on exactly what's happening in that moment. And I don't really have a chance to get into what the fans are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do like to interact. I think that it's very clear that, Monique and Candace, they've got some issues, and people are really giving their feedback and thoughts on those two ladies, and just kind of like the state of their friendship.
For sure. Yeah. And I was one thing I wanted to ask was, like, I think we're already seeing that Candace, like, definitely gets some feedback about how free she is on Twitter, and she just kind of lets it fly, I think, more than kind of anybody else. Do you have any rules for yourself when it comes to like engaging or kind of like, oh, let me like double check before I tweet this out to my followers?
No, I mean, my rule of thumb, and I've always been this way, is that I don't find social media to be a weapon. And I think sometimes people do. Right. It's not a weapon for me. It's social media, especially Twitter, is fun, lightweight, interaction with the fans. I don't even engage in anything negative that is for me or for the rest of the cast. I think that is, nasty. And that's not what we're here for. So when it gets like below the belt, I disengage. And guess what? You get blocked.
I think that's the best way to be, because I do think that sometimes people and you know this firsthand. It's like people take it too far, and it's like this is supposed to be a fun, obviously there's shade, obviously there's tea being spilled, but it's like, let's not take it so deep here. You know what I mean? Like, these
Right.
are people's lives, so let's just have fun with it. So I'm
Exactly.
glad that you have that mentality.
Right. And we're on Bravo. Like, I thought that was an entertainment network. We're not here to just be nasty and rude. So, yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, I think a lot of the drama revolves around Monique and Candace right now, and it's leading up to something. It seems like right now on the show, at least, we're at episode 3. You and Monique are kind of in the best place that I think I've ever seen you guys. How did you get to that place, at least at this point in the season, where where it really is you guys are trying to kind of see eye to eye?
Right. Good question. And they didn't show it. So at Candace's 1 year, I've been married for a year party, which we still don't understand. Um, all the ladies were outside talking to me. Remember when they were like gang banging me, and I was like, back up off me, smell the coffee.
Oh yeah. You're on the edge of that roof, and I was like, Gizelle, come back.
I was like, get up off me. She and I started talking, and all the ladies were like, well, how do you feel about Monique? How are you and Monique? And I was like, you know what, ladies? I think at this point in time, Monique and I should sit down and talk and get to a better place. Like, stop asking me how are you feeling about Monique? Because quite frankly, I don't feel anything about Monique. So she and I just need to sit down, have a chit chat, be grown ups, and get to a better place. So I was so happy when we did that. And I felt like, yes, for the first time ever, we were great, like totally great. I loved hanging out with her. I loved kikiing with her. It was genuine from my side. I've heard from her side that it wasn't genuine. She was just doing it just to do it or whatever. I don't know. It was totally genuine. Like, I was here for Monique. Like, felt like, wow, I'm getting to see a side of her that I've never seen before. And I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that, because as a fan of both of you separately, it was sometimes it was almost frustrating to not have moments where you guys could bond and really have fun together, because you are both such dynamic, outgoing women. And so I think it's been nice to see, but obviously something changes. What can you kind of tell me about where it's going to go with her? Because I think even just from the confessionals, we can see that like it doesn't stay all hunky dory between you two.
Yes. To be honest with you, Gibson, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. I mean, we filmed the whole season. Yes, we had the incident.
Right.
And yes, I gave my opinion of how I felt about that, but I gave it to her face. So we had a very upfront conversation about it. And then, the rest of the season played out, and I thought we were fine. But I saw from social media that you'd have to ask her.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you did mention that Monique had the really kind of widely watched Instagram Live recently, and I'm just curious where she shared her side of the story when it comes to all the rumors and all that. What was your reaction to that live, and what did you kind of have to say to what she said in that?
I was actually blown away. I was just like, not blown away. That's not the right word. I was baffled a little bit, because there's some sort of not indication when somebody accuses you of something. She accused me and Robin of like sitting down and plotting against her family.
Right.
It's totally not true. Like, I've never done that. That's never happened. If I'm going to sit down and eat dinner, I'm going to concentrate on my food and my dirty martini that I'm about to drink. Like, Monique, get over yourself. You're really not that important that I would even do that. So it's just kind of very strange.
Mm-hmm. And what do you make of the Charisse of it all? Because I think that's sort of like she's not on the cast anymore, but I think she still kind of has this effect on some of the people right now. And there's some. What's your opinion on her involvement with all of this?
You know what? I was so happy that Charisse was around and hanging out with us, because let's be clear, Monique and Charisse were BFFs, always together, told everybody, we're BFFs, big sister, little sister, blah, blah, blah. And when they fell out, nobody really understood why. And so you saw at Ashley's Sippency, I'm asking, like, I'm kind of like begging, like, what is the issue? Why, when Charisse shows up, does this woman want to run in the opposite direction? And clearly I gave my thoughts on that.
Right.
Very clearly.
Uh-huh.
But Charisse didn't discuss it. But I'm never going to run away from anybody. I don't care what it is. But obviously the situation has affected Monique to the point where she wants to run out the room, child. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then I guess everyone has their own prerogative, and I think that I think that we did see that you tried to kind of at least put it out there and see if it would be addressed.
Right.
So
And to be honest, and one more thing I want to say about
yeah,
that, I really felt like if they discussed whatever it was, that they could move forward and move past it, because again, Monique really didn't have any friends on the show but Charisse, and Charisse rode so hard for her. And we all know this is based off of Monique's best friend Gigi and all the
right.
rumors.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
whatever, let's
Yeah,
move forward.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think what's really kind of obviously, I think the incident that's surrounding that season is sort of like gearing up to. I think there's an intrigue that's just about the drama, but I also think that it seems in the aftermath, the conversation that it sparks, especially
Yes.
in the preview that we've seen, is you make a comment about how it could potentially play into this stereotype of Black women that you guys are actively trying to not engage with and kind of go against. I'm curious, I would love for you to expand a little bit upon that, because I think it ties into obviously a lot of the conversations that have been happening outside of the show and the specials that you've been a part of with Bravo when it comes to racial injustice and representation. And
Yeah.
so I'd love to just kind of hear more of your thoughts on that, because I love how engaged that you've been, and it's been really inspiring. And so, I just love for you to sound off a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's actually so crazy how that conversation happened, and then I don't know, 10 months later, like the world blew up, right? So the conversation that we had at Karen's house that day was literally about Black women and how we're treated and how we're perceived in this country.
Right.
And that is not good. We aren't taken seriously. We're only looked at as violent and aggressive. We're the lowest person on the totem pole. We get paid, it's like pennies on the dollar to everyone else. And we all felt like, look, the incident allowed the world to think the stereotype, when this show was breaking the mold of the stereotype. Why on earth would you just throw the stereotype in everybody's face when we've worked so hard to like not be that? Like, forget the show. I'm not that. Robin's not that. Ashley's not that. Like, we're just not those women. So it was very, very hurtful. Not just like, take Monique and Candace out of it. It was hurtful because it's like, hey, we've worked so hard for 5 years, blood, sweat, and tears for where we are with this platform. And I don't take this platform and throw it in the trash can because you two want to act like nuts one night. Like, no.
Right.
So, that was the bigger picture and the bigger conversation. And we never, it's sad because, a lot of times, and we know this as Black people, that no matter how great you are, they're always looking for that one time when you weren't so great, and they'll throw it in your face over and over again. We know that. We live with that. And I teach my daughters, like, this is how the world works. So we'll always have that. This franchise will always have that moment as kind of like a stain.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to think past it because it's there. We lived it.
Yeah.
So that's like the bigger issue. And then, you know what, like but it did allow us to have these conversations, which is great. I got to go home and talk to my kids about it, which, they were horrified. But like after they got over it, it was kind of like, look, this is what we don't do. And these are the reasons why, and y'all know better. And so it did open the doors. So I from that perspective, I'm happy, but it took me a long time.
You'd prefer to not have ever happened
today.
Anyway. Right. For sure. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, but it's also like what you said, it's sort of like, obviously we prefer it to not have even happened. But it is, there's something about the timing of this happening right now where it's laddering up into a greater conversation that's being had around the world. And I'm learning a lot. Viewers are learning a lot. And I think that it is an opportunity for people to who don't have those lived experiences to really hear these stories and to really try to understand that. And so I guess that is a way to think about it, and a way that I've been trying to think about watching this show, because it is one of my favorite shows on television. And if I can learn something even deeper about the human experience from it, then that's a,
Yeah.
that's a plus from it, I guess,
No, it is, but we can't go from last season when we went to a plantation and we showed the world,
For sure.
like how we got here and how
Yeah.
our generations were pillaged, and we're so happy we're here now. We're educated Black women. We're smart. We're fun. To acting like animals, like no.
I see that for sure.
Yeah.
And I love how you mentioned your daughters, because I think, one, it's been really special to watch your daughters almost grow up on screen. It's like, I remember how young they were in the first season, and they really are young women now. And it's really kind of special to watch that. And I have felt from the beginning that you do everything for your daughters. And I think that and you've always expressed that on the show and off the show. And just how engaged you are in having these conversations that are very open with them. I think more open than a lot of other parents. And you mentioned it on the Race in America special that Bravo aired, is kind of the conversation that you've been having with them about what's going on in the country right now. What has the summer been like for you as you kind of gear up for this season, but also have these very real world, moments of reflection and being part of this big movement? When it comes to sharing with your daughters.
It's just that. I mean, they have, this summer has been just an eye opener for so many people. But I promise you, like, my daughters are so extremely smart and opinionated. They get it honest, their opinions. But now they have a vehicle to really express themselves. And I think, 10 years from now, I cannot wait to see who and what they are because of what's happening right now. I'm so kind of like taken aback a little bit by just how expressive they are,
right?
And how educated they are, and how they have not missed a beat. They know exactly what's going on, and we talk about it all the time. And it didn't take this whole Black Lives Matter movement for me to talk to my kids about what's going on in this world and all of the inequalities. It's just kind of like the icing on the cake. It's like, okay, now finally people are listening to what we're saying. So it's been great. I mean, my daughters are my everything.
Right. And they were already primed for that. Which is, they were ready to be engaged. And that's just inspiring in and of itself, I think.
Yes.
And we saw on the show, like you said, they are opinionated young women. And like, when you had that conversation in episode 1, where you're like, listen, I'm back, like you're talking about being back with their dad, and then sort of like they're openly skeptical of you guys. And I think that, but I think it was just like it was just so funny to watch. I think that because like they didn't care what, I think that it also reflects just sort of like there's other people that are also like kind of, they want to have input in your relationship, and they want to like tell you like what to do and what not to do. And I'm curious like how you just block that out. Like, how do you, like, for you and your relationship and your personal life, how do you deal with like noise that everyone wants to like have an opinion on it?
Right. It's just like the show. Like, so many people have opinions about me as it relates to the show. I'm bitter, I'm miserable, I'm horrible, but like, I can't take that in. And I can't take it. If I can't take it in about me personally, I for sure am not going to take it in about my relationship with Jamal. I mean, did I think I was going to go down this road and everybody was going to be hunky-dory and happy? No.
Right.
But I know myself, and I know that I just don't care. Of course I care about my kids and how they feel. And we've had those conversations, and they're totally fine now. They just want their mother to be happy.
Yeah.
But I don't, as far as after my kids, I don't care at all what anybody has to say.
For sure. Yeah. They're going to be the harsher critics. So it's like, just if you win them over, they're going to be the honest
then I'm good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Another relationship in this show that I think is, it's kind of one of those things that the fans have been waiting for this moment, which was when Juan asked you for approval on the engagement with Robin. One, it felt really sweet that he even kind of took you out to lunch to ask that. I thought that was really adorable. And it almost just represented this full circle moment because fans been wanting this since the beginning, right? I mean, well, how did it
Yes.
feel to kind of like be part of that where it really is this full, it is a full circle moment. They're going to get married again.
Yeah. Well, first of all, he didn't ask me. He told me. Juan Dixon asked nobody for nothing, but he told me, and I was honored. I was humbled. We sat there for a while and they didn't show it all, but he explained to me why he loves Robin so much, and it was so deep and beautiful and moving that Robin's like a sister to me. So I just want her to be happy. I know she loves Juan. I know Juan loves her. So it was like, I was like giddy. I was like a little kid. I was like,
I was too, just watching it. Right. It's like, it really is cute. And I think you can't help but be happy for them, I think.
Yes. Oh, totally happy for them. And I'm all in it all season long with the two of them. So you have to stay tuned for that. But I'm totally in the mix.
Love it. I wouldn't want to have it any other way, honestly. So, okay. So recently I tweeted out that I wanted to know what people thought the kind of most iconic, memorable Real Housewives of Potomac moments from over the years have been. And you had a couple moments in there, of course. And I'm curious if you could kind of guess what those are. I'm thinking of two in particular that were really good.
I already know. Okay. Probably the pizza.
Absolutely.
The pizza delivery.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fake pizza delivery.
Then, yes. And then the me, Karen, and the mime.
Absolutely. That's number one.
Oh, is it?
I mean, people that the clip of that moment where Karen in particular freaks out of that mime, like that makes the rounds every month or so, I would say.
Well, what's funny about it was she had no idea the mime was there, and she was calling me a clown. And I'm like, no, there's the clown. Like, it just fit. It was the reality gods at its finest. Like, that moment was magical.
It was magical. And I think that it gets into the opinion that I have, which is that like, there is something about your and Karen's dynamic and like kind of the unexpectedness of it. And like, okay, what's it going to be this season? What's it going to be this episode? What is it about you and Karen that like really makes for such great TV in your opinion?
It's respect. We go at it until the cows come home, but at the end of it, we have respect for each other. So it's not going to go but so far. And we can walk away from a huge blowout and laugh. Not laugh, but like we know that at the end of it, we care about each other. So it's kind of like stepsisters fighting. Like there's respect level there. There's a line drawn in the sand, and you're just not going to cross the line.
For sure. Yeah. It's almost like you guys are the really pillars of this show, in my opinion. And I like that there is that respect there because again, it's like you guys have real lives outside of the show and also invested into the show. But, it's like that to me is how it should be, the way it is between you two,
Yes.
Sure.
And it is. And I wish the other ladies would fall in line with that. But I think that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. I think that's kind of where it's headed. I think that gets into this idea, which is I keep coming back to, which is that Real Housewives of Potomac has 4 original cast members that have made it. I mean, through at least 5 seasons at this point. It will go longer, I'm assuming, but for that's more than any other franchise. That's a record, I think, across Bravo. And I'm curious for you, just like what keeps this group coming back and continuing to work year after year? Because on other shows, something breaks down or somebody can't really kind of keep up, I think, with the group. But you, Karen, Ashley, and Robin, you've been in it from the beginning, and I don't see you guys showing any signs of slowing down. So what is it? What makes you guys kind of this kind of magical dynamic?
I think that you're right, and I didn't know that until you guys made us aware of it. That we're kind of like doing something different and breaking the mold, but it's really chemistry. And I think that Bravo sees that the chemistry amongst the 4 of us, because we knew each other prior, except Ashley, is important to maintain a franchise, which is an ensemble cast. You do need to have some sort of connective tissue there. So I'm happy because it's just like, okay, I know, from Karen, Robin, and Ashley, for sure, I know, like, if we're in a scene together, I know what they're going to say. I know when they're going to react. I know how far to push them. Like, it's great to already have that in your back pocket. Like it makes for good TV.
It feels almost lived in, but then like what's so good about it is that every person on the show is also funny. And I think that's also something that not all the shows have, is that you have the one-liners, you could joke with each other. And I think that at the end of the day, we're in this for the fun, like we've said 100 times in this interview. And I'm glad that you guys have that top of mind as well.
Yeah, and I do want to say that, when Ashley first came, I was like, oh my God, who is this little girl who's humping people and her hair was crazy? And she's really been such a great surprise for me. And I'm so happy that I'm going down this road with her, because I didn't know her before, and she's really fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love Ashley. I think that she has also grown up a lot on the show, and I think that if you think about where she is in season 5 right now versus, again, like how she was intro to the show, it's like, it's almost night and day, and she's still kept those great qualities, but I think that she's really evolved. And I think, you all have, but it's been really fun to watch. So
yeah.
Well, Gizelle, I think that's all the time we have, but thank you so much. And I love catching up with you. I'm loving the season so far, and I know it's just the beginning, so there's a lot more to come.
Yes, and every episode, from what I understand, every episode is better than the one that you saw last. So hold on to your seatbelt, because it's a rocky road.
I'm strapped in. All right, I'm ready for this ride. Well, Gizelle, thank you so much. It was so fun to catch up.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. For more stories from In the Know, go to intheknow.com. You can also follow In the Know on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and find me, Gibson Johns, on Instagram and Twitter at Gibsonoma. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.